appreciate it.
All right, well, we've seen a couple of whitewashes so far, honestly, but this is probably going to be one of the more even matched setups that we actually see here. Both Hafu and Krip literally never go outside. All they do is stream, and they're both particularly good at it.
Yes, they are, and these are a couple of interesting hands we have started here. Emerith, Consecration, and Abusive Sergeant all being given up by Krip, of course, because he is playing against a mage that is likely to be off the control, mostly spell variety, and it doesn't necessarily need all of those board wipes, so wants to make sure he can establish board presence a bit early.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do with that Abusive Sergeant is play against mage, just get picked by a hero pass. So, Krip opens up right here with a nice juggler. Really good start there with the coin. And he's also sitting, of course, on that Sword of Justice, which is going to be absolutely ideal. I love the inclusion of the Faceless Manipulator. This can get comedy pretty quickly. We're going to see the Novice Engineer is, in my opinion, a pretty good play there because it doesn't get knifed immediately. Obviously, it still doesn't trade well with that Knife Juggler, but then you can pick it with the fire a little bit later on.
We do have an Argent Protector possibility here.
Hey, we've got a Redemption there as well, actually. I wonder if he'll decide to use that. He may, but it's more likely that we will see the shield come out there, and then he'll just knock that over with it.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to happen. Let's see, Argent Protector, of course, will deal 1 damage. With the Knife Juggler, of course, it's random, a 50% possibility of whether it hits Novice Engineer or herself, and it is. All right, 4 damage on this turn.
So opening it with a pretty heavy amount of damage to the mage in and of itself. There's crossbow coming out right there. Not going to do too much. It forces these kind of nasty, awkward traits. You really want to get rid of that Knife Juggler, but if it's got the Divine Shield, if it's doing damage to you, then you are forced to use a few more cards and creatures that you actually want. Alright, so Hafu right now has the option of an Acolyte of Pain. The problem is, doing that means that what's going to happen is Krip will just turn around and smack it with a 3-2 and get rid of it with only 1 card coming out, which is not exactly ideal. So, other options, he could Frostbolt the 2-2, but it's not that great. He could ping, we can see Hafu ping off the Divine Shield, but ultimately Hafu can't actually follow up from there and kill the Knife Juggler.
Right, and I do want to draw attention to everyone here at Krip's hands. He does have a Divine Favor there, and he knows that his opponent is playing almost exclusively a card draw deck up to this point. And that being the case, Krip can actually have the comfort in being able to play very aggro, get out there, get board presence, get some damage in.
And then just get it right back with the Divine Favor.
Right, Divine Favor,
yeah,
draw as many cards as your opponent has in hand.
Alright, well, generally speaking, you don't want to play any minions just yet because there's the risk that the knives end up hitting the Acolyte of Pain, which means excessive card draw here for the opponent. And as you said, though, the Divine Favor is a possibility, but you still don't want to be giving those cards to your opponent most of the time.
Exactly.
So, what is Krip's options? Well, he only has 3 mana, so he can go for the Abusive Sergeant, and that would allow him to knock over basically, he can wipe the board here preferentially in his favor in a pretty damn good way. That Sergeant is going to let him, say, go for a 4-2 on the Argent Protector there to eliminate the Acolyte of Pain, and then we just see that get knocked over by the Shield and Knife Juggler.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to go right for the Acolyte of Pain.
Yeah, let's go the other way around, that's totally fine too.
Oh yeah, and then he has a lot of opportunities here. Right, he can throw the Sword of Justice, there it is. That means that, of course, for everyone who is just joining us, Sword of Justice, 3 mana, 1/5 weapon, but you can choose, if you play minions instead, it'll just lose a durability and give that minion +1/+1, which makes Paladin decks extremely strong.
It's really nice to do as well because he's ultimately able to keep a hold of his Abusive Sergeant, but Hafu has the ability to wipe that off the board as well. So, the current situation is Hafu is slightly down on health. A second Sword of Justice comes out right here. The funny thing is that there's actually not that many minions that can be played. We're going to see a reinforced and possible Abusive Sergeant follow-up right there for the flop. And that's pretty much what he's got. And a Redemption comes out as well. There's some players like to hold on to that for, say, some of the tougher cards, but ultimately, it's still only a 1-cost secret, and it can really give you that nice momentum.
Right now, though, of course, Krip is susceptible to a little bit of Blizzard play or something like that. I need to look at the deck list again to see exactly what spells that Hafu has out. And it looks like this is actually mostly less about control and more about damage, honestly. She's got a lot of high-value cards, and that Fairy Dragon, of course, can't be targeted by spells or hero powers, and it looks like she's just going to flood the board with a bit of value right now.
Alright, I mean, that's good. I'm glad that she's playing creatures because obviously that Divine Favor would be very, very useful for Krip if that card sort of card difference actually stayed in play. So what have we got? Well, He's got a knife juggler, which of course is going to get a nice buff there. It's not going to kill anything, but of course it might do some damage. That extra sword of justice is not something he really needs yet. Looks for the straight trade right there, which it's kind of annoying, but he does have redemption, so he's able to bring that back to life. So ultimately, nothing really dies. And then he's able to use that 2-2 initiate to take down the 3-2 dragon, which is absolutely fine. Leaves him still with 5 mana remaining for the knife juggler and probably an initiate.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, there's going to be a 50% chance. That's actually a really good play right there.
Yeah, he's got to play second sword instead. That's fine. Yeah. Use the last to remove that, gives him a board advantage, plays his sword right back on the board. So next turn, he's going to be able to play another initiate, and then he's hoping, of course, for another play. But also, he's trying to burn cards so that he can use that Divine Favor preferentially for him. So, what do we leave us with? Possible Argent Commander. I mean, that will get rid of one creature, but then it trades out for 3-2. So he's going to do that, charge down the knife juggler. That's going to be the turn there. So that then leaves us with Krip being, I mean, he could pull out Divine Favor now. It's not the best, but it's still decent. Alternatively, he could play down that Abusive Sergeant and then Divine Favor.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think he's got to go somewhere in that direction. He'll be able to take advantage of the Sword of Justice.
Sooner rather than later, right? Because
well, he'll draw 4 cards off it if he plays the Abusive Sergeant first.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to do that. He's going to buff it just for the sake of doing that. And there's the Divine Favor. He had to do it sooner rather than later because eventually it wouldn't have been all useful. 1, 2, 3 cards, all the gnomes. Consecration, there we go. Krip's sitting on a pretty good hand right there. And he can play 2 gnomes from this position if he likes. And they will be buffed up to 3-2 with the Death Rattle.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually not a bad play. It prevents any sort of AoE spell play, or at least makes it a lot more painful for Hafu to try to contemplate if she has any ability. It's just going to be 2 for several years.
Alright, well, Hafu is not in the best positions right now, I've got to say. She's sitting on decent firepower, but she needs to start eliminating that stuff. Essentially, what Krip is doing, he's playing a Paladin weenie deck. It's very reliant on an awful lot of buffing. He got his 2 Swords of Justice very early, which means his deck is playing exactly how he wants it to. There's buff coming out to take that up to a 2-3, and build down the order being played there as well.
Yeah, that's right. So Consecration could come through, but it's only going to kill 1 minion there, so it won't exactly be the best. There is a Siege Giant, which is off for just 4 mana. Let's see here.
Bear in mind, he also has a Faceless Manipulator as well, so there's possible double Siege Giant next turn, depending on how many minions get left in the field. But stuff's going to get traded now, so he's going to play the Siege Giant, pretty much has to play it now if he wants to get the best value out of it. But you've got to watch out against the Mage deck, because he has no idea if there's a Polymorph in there, and there is.
That's right. Polymorph will quickly take care of that Sea Giant. And what else do we have in hand here? Looks like Blood Mage Bombs, Chilling Weather, and a Pyroblast for Hafu. So she has a little bit of damage available, but she needs to wrest back control of the board right now. And honestly, with True Silver Champion, Consecration, and even that Sea Giant, if it ends up costing a few more mana later on, is still a little bit better board control.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty good. I don't think he really wants to play that True Silver Charge just yet, because he still has 2 charges left on that sword. So he might decide to hold on to it. But, I mean, I do like the Sea Giant play, but ultimately, he's too smart to do that against a mage who might have a bully. And I think that he's just going to just push forward a little bit, get yet another bomb, burn down that sword, and then play his True Silver Champion after that. But then he goes for the Sea Giant, which actually works totally fine. It's still going to get poly, but at the end of the day, you sometimes have to take that risk. You know, maybe you might have poly. Simple as that.
And honestly, he's got an important control right now, and he's already applied quite a bit of damage. Like, this isn't all that bad, even if he gets polymorphed. Yeah, I mean, it has to happen, but he's still got opportunities for damage here in a second.
All right, well, we are most likely going to see a polymorph on that immediately. You're not going to leave that around. I wouldn't recommend clicking enter. That's a terrible idea. The nice thing the Hafu is sitting on right now is a Fireball and a Pyro. So, yeah, that big 16 damage hit that can come out, obviously it can't happen in 1 turn, but it can happen over the course of 2 turns, and it can suddenly turn things around. But with the amount of board control that's in play, it is difficult. Okay, so we're going to have to see some good removal. Crossbow can take out that 3-2 quite nicely. Blood Mage Stalloss, if that is able to sit on the field, then that's going to help out just a little bit. There's also the possibility of playing that Chill Wind Yeti, which is like, I mean, that trades for 2 of those minions, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's nice, but I really like that second.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that too.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a 2-2, and now this is okay because since she didn't commit anything to the board, it's not like True Silver Champion or Consecration has a valid target right
now.
now.
No, it really doesn't.
Which limits Krip's options.
There's no valid target for the Faceless Manip either. So, you know, if he wanted to get that Sea Giant play, he didn't manage to pull it off. He took a risk playing the Sea Giant, but it didn't pay off because, hey, Polymorph's a really great card. So, right now, as I said, Krip's options are very limited. He's definitely lacking in damage just a little bit.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So, looks like he's just going to attack for 2, puts another initiate out there, and that is going to be about all for Secret up there as well. Now, taking a look back at Hafu's side, now's when things can get a little bit interesting. She has Blood Mage Thalmos available, and there it goes right away.
Alright, one's getting pinged immediately, and I mean, I think Yeti for his position, I mean, that's exactly the best thing to play.
I agree.
Yeah, alright, cool. Blood Mage Thalmos obviously very, very nice. It will get killed off, but it's still a death rattle, so you're still going to get a card out of it anyway. Scarlet Crusader comes out, that's, you know, that's nice to have for him, certainly.
Alright, True Silver Champion comes out, looks like he's going to use it right away, and then
Consecration,
Consecration, absolutely right. So we'll do 2 damage in total to all enemies, or also swing with that.
It's about as efficient as it's going to get, you know, and that works absolutely fine. So that's going to get that out of the way. It does give a slight card advantage here to offer, so we'll see what you're going to make out of that. She's still taking hits, but not heavy ones. Blizzard comes out, not really going to help it too much right now. She may choose to wait to burn that on one minion, but it doesn't seem like she'd want to do that. We'll see, we'll see. Obviously the Harvest Golem is coming out, we know that for a fact.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see if she tries to get any damage on top of that as well. Not really a good use for Blizzard right now.
Here's the problem, right? That if that Pyroblast goes off, there's a noble sacrifice in play, so she's got to get rid of that first before she can really do anything.
Okay, well, Harvest Golem comes out as we anticipated before. Since she tries to ping with hero power and tries to put everything else out on top of it. Like we said before, though, Blizzard only takes out 1 target right now, and that's when you want a big AoE spell to be able to at least freeze in place a large board of minions, but there's certainly not an opportunity for that. So none of these spells are good, and she doesn't really want to keep on empty, and she doesn't want to get away with all this mana left in the bank.
Yep, that is very true. Alright, well, we'll see where this decides to go from here then. Hafu doesn't really have that many options to play right now. She's got to ping that as best as she can, no problem. And, you know, she's not going to waste the place to get rid of that. Oh! Dear God in heaven.
Oh, Ragnaros, yes. For justice. About now. And of course, what he does, he's an 8-8 that can attack, but he doesn't even know what to do with a random enemy at the end of your turn.
There's a Faceless Manipulator. This may very well be over pretty quickly. There is, of course, thankfully, that Pyroblast is sitting there. But that goes the damage, so, I mean, this is obviously a dead next turn kind of situation. Yeah. There is a poly, however, so she's not gone yet. That's going to get polymorphed immediately. There's the second polymorph going off. Of course, that does not trigger Noble Sacrifice. That's triggered off attacks. Showing the it comes in. So, but she did take heavy damage from that. So she doesn't have that many options left. She can't take this kind of pressure. Let's see what Krip is able to bring out here.
And the answer is
Concentration. That's not going to do too much.
It's only 3 damage right now. He, of course, doesn't get fine.
Faceless Manip for the Yeti. Alright, so he's going to take one of those. That's going to take that down to 4 here. Harfu's still in a really, really bad way. But the Blizzard could keep alive a little longer though. Like if she can pick off that Divine Shield, she can then Blizzard that wipes off 3 creatures, at least freezes another there. The second Blizzard coming out here as well. So
interesting.
Yeah, she's thinking about it.
And I think this is the right move here. She's going to Blizzard and then clear the Chillwind Yeti. So, and she does actually proc the Noble Sacrifice first.
Yep, so that's gonna hit that. So that takes that down to 3 there. In comes the ping.
Wow, okay.
That's an interesting one.
I'm surprised she didn't actually beam the Divine Shield there and actually pick that out.
Yeah, but hey, she's done it for a reason.
Right, I mean, she sets up for a Blizzard next turn to be able to completely...
And an Ardent Squire comes out and a Consecration, so that actually doesn't help Krip a huge amount. So the second Blizzard follows that up. She pings off that shield, she wipes the board entirely, and then bear in mind, Krip is actually I think the turnaround is on its way here.
Yeah, she's drawn into fireballs now, which means between the Pyroblast and the 2 fireballs, it's 22 direct damage.
Yeah, pinging a Blizzard is gonna obviously do a hell of it on Blizzard. Interesting. Well, I mean, she's obviously thinking about what she wants to do with the rest of that mana. If she pings, she can't fireball afterwards.
Right.
And with the Blizzard, that's too much mana. So she's got to think about it. Does she want to leave that 1/1 alive? What does she want to do with that 4 damage? I guess we'll find out pretty shortly.
I mean, she could also just hit the Divine Shield with the Chillwind Yeti. It's not going to die. She can Blizzard afterwards. Still have enough for a fireball.
That works too.
But of course, she doesn't get the 4 damage in with the Yeti. So really, she's just doing calculations at the moment.
Yeah, she's still in a position where she can come back into this game. She can wipe the board, and there's not a huge amount out for Krip right now. So he's relying kind of on what he's top decking at this stage. He's burnt through most of his weapons at this point. So, I mean, if he pulls like True Silver Champion, it's obviously just over. But we'll see. What is she going to do? I mean, as you said, the Blizzard is the best option at this stage.
Right. You know, it's just the order that she does it in right now. I don't think she can afford to keep anything on the board, though. She knows she's only at 4 health. That plus a consecration brings her down to 1. Whoa!
Okay. All right, here it goes.
No, this is a problem because there's 2 damage plus a consecration. And that means Kripparrian is going to take
that is unfortunately going to be a Krip win because of that consecration, as you said. So that is going to be 4 damage. Oh dear. So close here so far. Evidently the Blizzard was perhaps it. The Blizzard wouldn't have even mattered because consecration and Hammer Wrath comes out. That's the well played. First game goes to Krip. Krip in a good amount of control pretty much throughout that entire game. Possibilities for a comeback there from Hafu, but it just didn't quite work out.
And it looks like Hafu went through her name. She has a Shaman and a Paladin available and immediately comes her on the Paladin.
Alright. Should have a look, in fact, at the difference between his Paladin decks, because obviously we have seen that Krip plays kind of a weenie-focused Paladin deck. So she's playing a lot of small minions. He's relying on a lot of buffing. Now we should compare this to Hafu's deck and see exactly what the difference is between the two.
That's right, well, take a look at the opening hands here. Looks like she gets rid of the card, pulls back an Argent Commander. It's a little unfortunate at the beginning. Of course, Argent Commander is amazing, but you don't want to draw into it until later on when you actually have the mana available. Trick Fairy, Dragon Redemption, Alder Peacekeeper. Again, it's not a terrible hit, but it doesn't do a lot initially. It doesn't establish the board as well as she would like, and she doesn't get the most out of the utility of things like Alder Peacekeeper and Redemption for now.
Yeah, so the decks are reasonably similar in the sense that they both have Sword of Justice. They've both got a reasonable amount of weenie decks. They're both using Noble Sacrifice and Redemption. There's 2 Acidic Sword Bruisers in that deck, which is going to be fantastic against the Sword of Justice Paladin. So I think that's a pretty good pick. And for the endgame threats, not a huge amount, but we're also talking about a lot of buffs. So we've got 2 Blessings of Kings in that deck. So there is a lot of potential firepower later on. Alright, so there we have our opening here from Krip.
Yeah, once again, we have a 1-2 combination of at least a minion to hit the field, and then Argent Protector right afterwards to give it Divine Shield.
It works, it totally works, especially with the Leopard Gnome. It's really nice to be able to have that 2-1 that can actually trade. Because then, I mean, you can just knock over the Fairy, and he's probably going to have to do that straight away, because he has no other real choices. That does, however, trigger the secret, which is the Redemption. It does bring it back. It does mean, I mean, he could trade the Argent Protector for it at that point, but he's probably loath to do so.
I mean, that would, if he does it,
he does it anyway. That's fine too. He still has board advantage, that's the main point there.
Right. Alright, so let's see here. Still has the Leopard Gnome out. He's going to pass a turn back. It looks like we are going to see a turn 3 Chillwind Yeti with the 8 coin. Of course, that is a very high value card, simply due to the fact that it has 5 health tacked onto it, and it's going to make it very difficult to destroy.
Yeah, it certainly will. And we're going to see a Hammer Wrath over there, so he's most likely just going to trade that, and then he's going to hit it with the Leopard Gnome. So it was a bit unfortunate the Hammer Wrath was available for Krip there. But, I mean, otherwise the Yeti in that position would have been great.
This is just a dream hand for Krip, though, to be honest. He drew into both his Hammer of Wraths and both his Consecrations against a fellow Paladin deck. So he has a lot of opportunities to clear the board continually throughout the course of this game. Let's see what Hafu can fight back with. Alder Peacekeeper doesn't really do anything. This is really tough.
Yeah, she's going to have to basically do a turn of just using hero power. There's really nothing efficient that she can use at that point. So Krip gets a True Silver Champion. Now, again, not the most efficient thing he can have right now. That's not really going to help him too much, but ultimately he doesn't really have any other options. So perhaps he just might want to play that and then just sit on it and wait for the next turn. It does leave him vulnerable to a potential ooze, which he doesn't know whether or not his opponent actually has. But yeah, I mean, the other possibility is he just goes for the Initiate and then he just ends his turn at that point.
Alright, well, there's the Initiate, and he ends his turn. Okay, so back on Hafu's side, Harvest Golem, there we go. He's starting to get a couple of minions to something. Redemption is great in this case, especially if it's just a Harvest Golem, because it comes back.
For Harvest Golem, yeah, basically you're fighting 3 Harvest Golems instead of 1, which is absolutely fantastic. A second True Silver Champion, that's actually not really that great, but it's certainly more helpful than what he had previously. Now there's at least something on the board he can kill with it. Redemption is going to pop, and then he's going to be able to pop that with his second Initiate, and then we're going to get yet another Harvest Golem come out.
That's right. So it is going to.
And that's the cool thing with it, because technically it dies, which triggers the death rattle.
That's absolutely right. So
Pretty nasty.
With 2 more damage.
That's the way you do that combo.
Yeah, it is really good. And that's what I was alluding to before. Now we have 6 mana on board. There are certainly possibilities. But 2 Blessings of Kings. This could be a lot of damage coming through very soon. So I'm going to use 1. No. Yes. All right. So at least 6 damage coming through. Another. Oh. Okay.
A little bit surprised that you used that much damage on a 1/1 minion.
A little surprised.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that was a terrible idea, because you've got to bear in mind that Krip's probably going to have to hit that regardless. But what does Krip have? More to the point, is he sitting on removal? He is. He does have a Hammer of Wrath. That's not quite enough to break his way through. Obviously, Hafu would love for Krip to just go right into that 6/4 with the True Silver Champion and take the damage. But we'll see how this one goes. There's one more swing left on that True Silver Champion. There is a Concentrate, which means that's going to kill off 2 minions, but ultimately not that effective. It's going to bring the Sea Giant out here, and then swing to take the 6/4. Okay, so that leaves Hafu slightly ahead in terms of health there. Card advantage for Krip, and a pretty solid board advantage in the form of a scary, scary card right there. However, Aldo Peacekeeper is just for this situation.
There you go, and it is now a 1-8 to where it was an 8-8 just a couple of seconds ago. Now, though, I mean, we can throw another initiate out there possibly. Noble Sacrifice doesn't do a ton right now because it's only 1 damage coming through each time from that now.
Yeah.
Terribly limited Giant. It looks like she's just going to swing home for some damage.
Fair enough. It sounds pretty reasonable to me, honestly. I don't really see any other way of doing that. So, Krip obviously taking some fairly hefty hits. Now what's he got? Okay, so he pulls a Noble Sacrifice. He does have a Sword of Justice, but he has no minions in his hand.
That's right.
Which is not helpful. So he has that 1-8, which is going to start very, very slowly knocking down initiates, but it's not going to be doing any damage to Hafu. So Hafu is going to be able to get into a better board position.
He can still do quite a bit here, though. I mean, if we were to see Hammer of Wrath come out, he could draw a card on top of it, then throw out the Sword of Justice, and no, looks like he's just going to consecrate.
Yeah, that works. That pretty much wipes the board, so that's absolutely fine for him. And then the Noble Sacrifice comes on as well, and that is the next turn coming over. So it was just a bunch of weenies on the field, so I mean, Hafu knew that was going to happen eventually. Obviously, there's going to be a Consecrate coming from a fellow Paladin, but right now she is sitting on a Chillwind Yeti. That was her draw there. She doesn't really have anything she can play Kings on. She might not. Generally, you don't want to play Kings on the same turn unless maybe it's something like a Taunt.
Right.
Even then, it's risky because you can get silenced before you can actually do anything with it. Some kind of removal or anything along those lines could really hurt you there. So she's not going to do that. She's going to go with 4-5 and then 1-1 on the field. It's absolutely fine. She's still in a good spot even after losing all of those creatures. The second Sword of Justice comes out. No minions for Krip though. He may have to Hammer of Wrath just to try and get some cards here.
Well, let's see. I mean, he can throw the 1/5 into the Chillwind Yeti and it will survive.
And True Silver Champion it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's certainly a lot of cost-efficient options available for him. He's still got that Hammer of Wrath sitting around if he needs to draw cards, but it's a little annoying to him right now, unfortunately, that he doesn't have anything to be able to feed off of that Sword of Justice. But taking a look at his deck list from before, he'll certainly draw into that if this game goes long enough.
Alright, so there's the Hammer of Wrath. That takes it down from 4-2. Gives him a Knife Juggler here, which is not a bad thing to have, especially when you've got a Sword of Justice in place. So there's the Knife Juggler. He's not going to be able to knock that over there. Decides not to take the Yeti out of this yet, but he does have a Noble Sacrifice to eat that, and the Yeti is going to die to that Noble Sacrifice,
right,
unless the Yeti gets Kings this turn.
Alright, Consecration comes out from Hafu now, and unfortunately, just because of the Sword of Justice from before, it's not as cool as it could have been. It's going to keep that Knife Juggler alive. And let's see.
Let me.
There's 4 Paladin secrets, and there's only 2 that are commonly played. So it's, she's already seen the Noble Sacrifices used last game, so she's pretty damn aware of what's in there. Consecration is going to take out 1 creature there, and is also going to take that down to 1.
She may double consecrate here, to be honest.
I mean, she might. It's still going to do decent damage to Krip. Ultimately, she's burning both of her consecrations on this, though. But honestly, you don't want to leave a Knife Juggler out there when you've got a Sword of Justice play, because it's just the most horrible combo in the world. And she knows, absolutely, that it is a Noble Sacrifice. Archer Protection comes out. Oh, that's not a helpful draw. I think we're probably just I don't know, we're not going to see a true silver champion come out, because that's going to blow up that. Oh, we might? I mean, he's sitting on another Sword of Justice, so maybe he does.
I heard some questions from the crowd a little bit as they were wondering why she wasn't attacking necessarily. Because of the secret that's played by Kripparrian right now, it summons a 2-1 defender anytime he is attacked. So if that Chillin' Yeti had walked into it, he would have procced that and he would have attacked him and not done any damage and lost that Chillin' Yeti.
Absolutely. So the Chillin' Yeti gets taken out by concentration, which puts a board advantage back in the hands of the opponent. And this is nice because you're able to use that sword to trigger the normal sacrifice and get it out of the way. So Krip takes a little bit more damage, so he's down to 13. But that does give him that solid board advantage and gets that secret out of the way. Another Argent commander is pulled, and it's a 10-10 as well. I mean, we could see a King's play on this as well. An attempt on a rush down to try and finish him off, but there's still the secret out.
That's right,
there it is.
Going to get hit right now. 2-1 defender has a new target. That is going to make the Argent commander lose its Divine Shield.
Yes, it is. So down that goes. The secrets are now cleared out, but there is that second Argent commander and the King. That's the thing to bear in mind. So she's actually got 2 in the chamber there. It's quite nice. Faceless Manipulator comes out here. That's not a bad card to play because that creature has charge. So if you Faceless Manipulate that, it actually does gain the charge ability. You can make something happen with that.
I like taking out the other Argent commander, possibly.
You could, but is it a good use of the Faceless Manipulator in this situation? Arguably not. We could see the True Silver Champion come out here as well. And playing the Sword of Justice makes a little sense at this stage, but the alternative, there we go. So then maybe he swings to take out that 1-1. Faceless Manip will also get buffed, but that's actually fantastic, never mind, because that's not going to get buffed, and then he's able to smack that, no problem at all.
That's right, and don't forget, whenever you do copy the attributes on that card right there, so he doesn't get Divine Shield on the new Argent commander.
Yeah, but that's really, really nice. So that evens the health up quite nicely there for Krip. And let's see what we get after that. Sword of Justice, not really the best thing to have. We still have that Blessing of King's Argent Commander combo, but this is looking dicey, very dicey.
Yes, it is, and she unfortunately will get killed off, or that Argent Commander can get killed off with just 1 unit and the Justice if Krip wants to take a little bit more damage. I don't think he wants to at this stage, but there's pretty cost-efficient board clears available.
Maybe she could have Kings there because that would have kept that creature alive. Yeah? It would have been basically impossible for that thing to die. So that was a possibility there. But ultimately, more creatures on the board here for Krip, but not a lot of firepower. Is going to pull out another Initiate to burn another charge, that being the last charge of that weapon. Then pull out the True Silver Champion.
Right, and Divine Favor, of course, just to get 2 more cards.
Absolutely. So he gets 2 cards on that, and another Divine Favor on that, which is okay.
For justice.
All right, looks like damage. Four cards, 2 up top as well, prefers all of his Divine Shields, and he is in a pretty magnificent situation. Looks like the turn is going to get tossed over here in a second, and Hafu right now needs a miracle draw.
And that's not it, I'm afraid. That is not it. And Hafu is in a lot of trouble right now. The Kings is available. She's going to be able to move this creature out of the way here. What's on that damage-wise? Well, the True Champion's out, so that's going to be GG by the looks of it. Absolutely enough stuff on the board right here to deal with this.
That's right, and Krip taking a pretty commanding 2-0 advantage right now. He's playing extremely efficiently through the beginning of this tournament. Really well done.
Alright, well that's going to be a wipeout right there. There's a 2-0 for Krip.
Alright, that means Hafu's going to be down to her last deck. This could potentially be our last game of the round of 8. Just to reiterate to everyone,
Thrall versus Uther. I will fight with honor for Doomhammer.
like the True Silver Champion and Hammer around this time. Actually ends up keeping one of the abusive sergeants and just
that's
the True Silver
absolutely fine.
Champion.
I mean, each other just don't hold on to 2 of them because you want somebody to be able to buff with it. So that's absolutely fine. I think that's probably a good mulligan there from Krip. We'll see what he is able to get out of that.
And ended up being a pretty decent draw for Hafu at the end, though. Draws into a Fork of Lightning and a Flame Tongue Totem, so has a lot of possibilities available. Lightning Storm there too, but a lot of cards with Overload.
Fantastic. All right, here we go. So potential match point right here. Hafu's going to have to pull something out of the bag. Kripp has been doing a good job. It was a much closer game that time, but we'll see. She's down to her last deck. Will she be able to handle it? Out comes a Searing Totem. Not a bad start there for her. Divine Shield comes out, however, so that's going to deal with that quite nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like he is going to take it out and just take it out. We'll see what he does with the coin, though, coming up. He's been able to go through a couple of turns here. There's the lightning. That's going to deal with two down against on board, but of course that does have an overload of 2, which means she'll only have 2 mana available next turn.
It's still okay, right? She could put down a flame totem behind that, or she could just go into a second totem, so that's really okay for her. Alright, Night Journal comes out. And it should be a good coin into an initiate, but that's really not a great use of the coin, so he's not going to do that. Ragnaros, Golden Ragnaros in the hand right there. Then he's able to turn that into the damage totem, swings with the Stone Claw, taking that one out, and leaves that totem alive, which is fantastic. A bit of a rapid fire game going on between these two. Yeah, but True Silver Champion on the field right now, look at that. But it looks like we might get that, yeah, it's going to get spell broken. I like that, that's a good play.
With that Knife Juggler, though, that hit the field, that was about as good as Hafu could hope for. She was only sitting on 2 mana, so that Flame Totem was about all she could have done anyway. So to be able to trade efficiently with a card on top of that, just her totem, really well done. Now she has her full mana back. Looks like she's just going to use it for a totem to begin with. We'll see if she does straight damage. Nope, it's going to be Feral Spirit.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. That seems like a pretty good play to me. That's still on the board. Noble Sacrifice comes out right here, which is going to be quite nice. See if he decides to play it. He's on 5 mana right now. Doesn't really want to use Divine Favor. Still sitting on the coin, bear that in mind. So, I mean, he could go out your commander, but there's... We'll see. There's not really what you want to do in this situation.
No, I mean, especially because that 1/1 totem is just going to come right back and take up the Spellbreaker right afterwards. And unless you play the Noble Sacrifice, of course. So, yeah, you clear the board out. Yeah, she did get hit with an overload of 2 and only has 4 mana available next turn, but still, probably not the most cost-efficient use of the card.
Probably not. All right, let's see what Kripp decides to do, though. He's the expert here, so let's see.
Could definitely see it just a True Silver Champion and then a Noble Sacrifice as well, swinging through with the Spellbreaker to clear the board and retain the True Silver Champion.
Yeah, I mean, that would work fairly well, I think. That's not a terrible idea.
And it looks like it is going to be a True Silver Champion for now.
He's thinking about it, he's thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely. And looks like that's exactly what's going to happen.
Swing through right there. Will he Noble Sacrifice? He will, of course. He wants to do a 4 damage thing on the field if he can. So I think it's fairly obvious what he did there. So Hafu's going to know that. And of course, Hafu's options are fairly limited this turn because of that overload.
That's right. So now Lava Burst popped out, but that's not terribly useful right now. Of course, she wants to be able to save that against a big minion.
It's going to be a little bigger than a 4/1, certainly. But we'll see. Lightning Storm again, not really something she wants to play right now. She's going to be thinking maybe about another totem. She, of course, you know, she knew that was going to happen. She needed to get rid of it. Might as well do it with the 1/1. Get that out of the way, and then consider what you want to do. Another totem coming out here, which ends up being another Searing. And I mean, she's got no other options, so that's the turn done. Another Noble Sacrifice comes out here for Kripp on the top of the deck. And options-wise, he would really, of course, like to keep that alive a turn longer if he can. He may Noble Sacrifice again just to deal yet more damage, but
I would think so. He could even point out and do that and still play an Argent Commander on top of it. I mean, there is the possibility of something that's just Noble Sacrifice, Leper Gnome, throw out a recruit, and then just kind of pass the turn.
The other possibility is Leper Gnome, Noble Sacrifice, coin, and then Divine Favor.
Very true. And look at that, he's going to draw 4 or 5 cards on top of that. So very, very well done.
Divine Favor's good card, man. You can't really complain about that. He pretty much refills his hand, and he's able to even play an Initiate on top of that.
Or it's just that Argent Protector that he just drew into with that last card draw to get something Divine Shield on top of it.
Someone's got harder cards today, I gotta say.
Just kidding.
Well, that's that out of the way, so it's a minion that can't be buffed, can't be used for something else, can't be pulled back by Brewmaster or anything along those lines. Mana-Tide Totem, in fact there are 2 Mana-Tide Totems coming out here. Ragnaros is not ready yet. Possibility of a Fire Elemental, but what are you going to blast with that? You could blast out either 2/2 or the 2/1 with the Fire Elemental. You could take that with the Searing Totem, and then you could Fire Blast that. That wouldn't be terrible. I mean, that could work, but we'll see what she decides to do. She has a number of options to handle this board now.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, she really, and I can see by the Mana-Tide Totems and the way she was hovering over them before, and with this kind of deck, you really want on the back of the Feral Spirit or something to be able to just retain board control for a little period of time. Because if you do that, you can slap your Mana-Tide Totems, you're drawing cards every turn, and you can kind of run wild, and that's a lot of the purpose of the deck. Now, unfortunately, she can't even clear out the Spellbreaker right now because of the Noble Sacrifice.
Yeah, it's rather irritating, isn't it? And I think she knows, I mean, she's got to know that that's a possibility there. So she could go hard on the cards and hope for a Stoneclaw from that. She can't even play Ragnaros next turn, unfortunately, because she is overloading. So that's going to be a little bit problematic. Does she get the Stoneclaw? No.
Unfortunately, that's
a mistake. That's absolutely what she wanted. She knew that. She knows exactly what the secret is. She's got to burn that out of the way. So that means that 4-1 is going to keep just being the most valuable card in the history of mankind. So that's going to work out pretty well. It's been alive for way too long. Hammer Wrath comes out here as well. Good solid board control available for Krip. Krip is now able to just bring the pain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 12 damage possible this turn if he at least wanted to go full out damage. He'll probably play it a little more conservatively. We'll see him sit back. I mean, there is the potential to equip Sword of Justice right now and start pumping out even small minions and take board control. Divine Favor is not going to do much at the moment. There's not really a use for the hammers either, so...
Yeah, not really. I mean, maybe he wants a card out of it, but what are you going to do? You're going to hammer Wrath 0-2?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably not.
Alright, so well, see what he does. It is going to be the Argent Commander, so we are going to see just a swing in for at least 8 damage, and he will keep the True Silver Champion available.
And ultimately, why not, right? It's not like Hafu doesn't have ways of getting rid of it, but it's more heavy overload against Divine Shield and stuff. So, I mean, that 4-1 is basically dead this turn. But the problem is the overload that she can't follow it up. Defender of Arcs and both total is playing the time right now. It also gives her the damage to remove that creature. So that's not too shabby at all. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to buy her time, like you said before, and she does have a lot of high-value cards that she can start to throw on after this. But I look at those Mana-Tide totems and I cry because I know she wanted to be able to play those earlier on and just can't. Krip's going to come through though, and he is going to clear the board. Looks like he's just going to use the Hammer of Wrath to clear it right away.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Possible abuse of Sergeant here. There's nothing on the board to stop that from happening. You could do it with the Sword of Justice to gain a 3-2 abuse of Sergeant. I think that's probably, well, will he do it? He could, I mean...
He's thinking about it, but he decides not to.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he could have even done that and set himself up for a bigger Divine Favor next time, because if anything, Hafu is accumulating a ton of cards, and that Divine Favor, even the second time around, is going to be incredibly powerful.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I wonder if he's worried about possible Hex as well. Well, Ragnaros can come out here, but ultimately Ragnaros is not the best play, because unfortunately that Divine Shield's still up. So if that Rag picks the Divine Shield, that's going to be the biggest useless thing to do with the Emma. So there we go. That's the better play in my opinion. Removes that out of the way. It does mean a big overload next turn again. So yet more no Ragnaros. Scarlet Crusader comes out on the other side here. His Sword of Justice is out as well, so that's going to be a fantastic play here for Krip.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to start to put himself on the field here. I mean, he had the potential to do something like Hammer Wrath Consecration just to get rid of it, but it looks like he wants to extend his board advantage. Again, since he has that Divine Favor, he can sit back and he can throw cards at the board a little bit more judiciously than his opponent can, because he can just wrap them right back up with Divine Favor.
Yep, that's ultimately exactly right. Now comes on the Shield Minion, you can do it, absolutely, because that then becomes a 2-2, so no real complaints there. I mean, at this point, he can probably just end the turn, really.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really want to swing through right now because he wants to get the Sword of Justice.
I mean, he can have some Wrath for another card and then take it down to 2, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but usually you want to be able to ensure that you're going to take out the minion entirely, because as we saw before, when that Spellbreaker sat around with one health on it, it's not necessarily a guarantee that a 1-health minion is going to go down in short order.
Most assuredly isn't. Alright, well, I'm just thinking about that as well. He's going to end the turn, which I think is probably the most wise thing to do. One-man elemental, after all the overload has been used.
I know.
And that's anti-hard off the cards, I'm sorry. That's unfortunate. Alright, so what does that leave me with? A very powerful creature on the field, certainly. Ragnaros in the hand available. Possible play there. But she's going to totem instead because of the overload, so that takes it down to 6 there. And, I mean, there's the one-man elemental, and we basically got there's the storm afterwards. There we go. That's the best possible place to do that situation. Things are kind of back off the board, and the healing totem brings that back up to 6-2, meaning it can't be killed by an errant swing from the Sword of Justice. Unfortunately, it will die to either knives or most likely a consecration.
Let's see here. Yeah, you can actually do both right now.
Yeah, have a Wrath Consecration or wipe the board. That's absolutely the right thing to do. So, yeah, he's going to be happy with that. She, on the other hand, will not.
Oh, and he can even throw a knife dribbler out there and buff it up to 4-3 as well, and just prepare for later on. Or just simply use his minion power here.
I think we're going to see Rag come out, I really do. Like, those two Manatite totems aren't going to help. Ragnaros right now is probably the best thing she could possibly do. And ultimately, there's not that much on Krip's side to actually do it. Another shot coming out. That's nice. That's not too bad.
Yeah, it looks like as soon as she saw that, she actually decided instantly.
We're going to shot instead. Absolutely. Yeah, that's totally the right thing to do. That gets rid of that with a Raptor Bear. She got pretty lucky with the totem she wants, and she's not in a bad spot right now. Let's see what Krip actually top decks here.
And in a weird way, the best part of all this is that the divine favor for Kripparrian means nothing now. She was sitting in a huge card advantage, and even though that's been brought down, you usually think, yeah, well, cards. It was actually pretty advantageous because divine favor would have sealed this for Krip, no problem.
Alright, well, the True Silver Champion is now up, which means that totem dies instantly, right? So it's only going to gain one card, which is not that great. There is still a Rag, but ultimately you don't want to Ragnaros out when your opponent has a lot of small creatures, because that thing does 8 damage at the end of every turn and targets stuff at random. Alright, so this is a good time maybe to overload it.
Right, and there's cards out there to do it. Flame Tongue Totem would actually allow for a little bit of damage.
We want to see a double totem play here with a Flame Tongue? We could.
Yeah, we definitely could. And on top of that, Lava Burst will help clear, but of course that's going to use more overload, which she doesn't necessarily want. The best play, of course, when you do throw Ragnaros on there, is to throw something else with it too.
Yeah, I mean, she can clear the board here. There's no question about that. I think that's exactly what she's going to do. There's a lightning bolt going off, that gets rid of that. It, of course, is going to do a little bit of damage to her. That's not something she's overly concerned about right now. Has the Monetite totem as well. Does a little bit of a dance right there.
I know.
It's still beta, guys.
Earth Elemental does hit though, and that's the card she draws from the Manatite Totem. Sea Giant comes out for Kripparrian.
That's actually, Hafu's probably going to be pretty fine with that, but the thing is Redemption comes out as well, so this is still a risky position. Bear in mind, Krip hasn't taken any damage. He's sitting on 30. So, I mean, with that Ragnaros out and the Earth Elemental, things are going to get dicey, but that Sea Giant with Redemption could be unpleasant.
I gotta admit, I kind of like Hafu's position right now.
It's alright. It really is alright.
There's not a lot of damage that Krip can push through here. Abusive Sergeant doesn't have any targets. Sea Giant is too cost inefficient right now. That plus Redemption, she'll know it's Redemption because 2 noble sacrifices have already happened.
Yeah, it can only be one other thing.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to play the Sea Giant after that, which I like, make it slightly more effective here. And he's going to sword that, which means that there's no damage left on the board there. Alright, so Krip is in still a pretty good spot. And I wonder if she will actually go for the Ragnaros play and just hope for the best. If that Rag doesn't hit the Sea Giant, that's going to be a problem. The other possibility is Earth Elemental, but that means the Rag can't come out next to the 3 overload.
Exactly. Ragnaros right now is basically what she's saying is she has a 33% chance to stay in this game.
Yeah, to hit the right target.
Right. Because Ragnaros, as you guys I explained before, but it can't attack. And it is Fate 8, and it chooses an enemy at random at the end of your turn and deals 8 damage to it.
It wasn't a taunt, so that's pretty risky. Is this going to be a finish?
8, 9, 11 damage. I see 11 damage on the board. But she does have a faceless, or he does have a faceless manipulator. It doesn't really get it much. This is 11 damage. It's not quite enough.
Redemption comes out. He can faceless manipulate that giant as well, though. So I think Hafu is in a really bad spot right now. Let's be honest here. Gets a bunch of cards as well. I believe he's out of Hammer or Rat, so I'm pretty sure he's got no direct.
Oh, we got no concentration! That's it!
GG!
Concentration plus the rest is going to be enough. And Krip is Paladin Tech takes out Hafu.
Rio.
Alright, that is our last of the round of 8 for today. We're going to have an interview with Kripparrian here in just a second. Don't forget though, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have the semifinals and finals of the Hearthstone Innkeepers Invitational tomorrow, the World of Warcraft stage at 10 a.m.
So that leaves us with really only one match that actually did go past the first 3 games. So a few mismatches there. Some excellent play by pretty much everybody, but that means the round of 4 is going to be hyper competitive, of course.
That's right. We saw Artosis, Trump, and Krip advance, and those are going to be your 4 players for the semifinals and the finals.
Ladies and gentlemen, going 3-0, going to the round of 4, it is Krip. Nicely done, Krip. Really dominant performance. Were you a little bit worried in the second game? It seemed a little closer than perhaps you might have expected.
I actually practiced against that exact Paladin deck, and I think 9 times out of 10 I'd win that game. It just so happened that some of my draws in the middle game wasn't so good. I was mostly really scared of the Mage deck. I think if I had lost the first round, I think it would have been 3-0 the other way, because the other decks wouldn't have done so well.
Well, it was actually, the Mage deck was actually a very, very close one. We felt it could have gone either way for a while, but it did end up going in your favor. So I've got to ask, going into the round of 4, who are you most worried about facing?
Well, when I got here, there was like 5 other people here, and among the 5 people was Trump. He was writing down all the cards the other players were playing. So, well, Trump was probably going to be the toughest competition, I think. He was doing his homework.
Excellent. Now, of course, you are the most popular Hearthstone streamer right now, but you took a little bit of a break for a bit of Path of Exile for the last few weeks. Can we expect to see you streaming Hearthstone after BlizzCon ends?
Probably. It's a really fun game, so yeah. And, you know, if I don't stream all the time Hearthstone, it'll still be that game that every now and then you play, because it's just really awesome if you're into you know, World of Warcraft and the genre in general.
Absolutely. Now, you've got a lot of fans in the audience right here, so I'm going to give you a chance to say whatever you want to them. Just try and keep it PG-13.
I got nothing. I suck at shoutouts.
There we go, folks. Sucks at shoutouts. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Krip. He advanced to the dominant performance 3-0. He'll be in the round of 4. And that pretty much wraps us up for today's Hearthstone presentation here on the community tournament stage. If you want to queue up and play some Hearthstone on the many stages that we have right here, you can do that. And of course, there will be contests going on here for Hearthstone as well as 2v2 StarCraft on the stage towards the rest of the day. The round of 4 onwards will be done on the Warcraft stage, which is over there where the arena matches are currently happening. That, of course, will be...